All right, welcome to the Muscle Maturity Podcast, episode 87. I'm here with Mr. Olympia Samir Bannout and Marcus Guerrero from Old School Labs. I'm John Hansen. What's up, guys? We haven't been on the show for a couple of weeks.
I know. It's terrible. I've been traveling quite a bit, John. And, when you're on the road, no matter what you have with you, it's not the same. You cannot have the luxury. I need to do hold on, guys. Forgive me. You don't get the same luxury that when you have at home. So anyway, it was fun. But no matter what, when you come home, you always look forward to be home. Right, Martin? Martin was traveling. This is always when you come home and you open the door and say, oh, good to be home. So I really miss you guys. It's been a couple of weeks or more, right?
Yeah, we missed your birthday, Samir. Your birthday was earlier this month.
Yeah, man, too bad. I just turned 50, man. It's terrible. Terrible.
Getting up there.
That's a big year.
Happy belated, man.
I feel 50. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you, Jean. Yes, it's terrible getting old, but you know what? It's a number.
Yeah.
Nothing but that. I agree.
Jean, you don't look 90.
No, I don't look 90. I look pretty good.
You're looking good, as a matter of fact. At the Olympia, you were in really good. You were in better shape in Las Vegas than I've seen you.
Yeah, I'm still dieting.
Yeah, you look great.
Till the end of the year.
Knock on wood. You look great, John. You too, Marcus.
I'm dying inside, feeling alive outside. It's all good.
That's the best way to say it. It's all good.
100%.
Just move forward and have fun, man.
Absolutely.
Well, the show we're going to talk about is the Prague Pro, which took place last week, and that was one of the biggest stories of the year, I think, in bodybuilding. I thought the Olympia was going to be the big story of the year, but this was one of the biggest, because Chris Bumstead, the 6-time Classic Physique champion, just retired. And then he comes out of retirement 1 month later, and he does the Prague Pro in the open bodybuilding. And he ended up in second place behind Martin Fitzwater, who was fourth at the Olympia. And Sean Clarita went in too, and he looked really good. He looked better than the Olympia. He got third.
He sure did.
So
he sure did.
I don't know how many guys we had in the show, like 15 guys, but been a lot of controversy, a lot of people going back and forth on, should Bumstead have won? Did Martin deserve to win it? So what did you guys feel? What was your take? I mean, I wasn't there. I did watch the pay-per-view. I paid for the pay-per-view and I watched the pre-judging and night show.
Yeah, I saw it. I was in Mexico, and it was a total war. I mean, it wasn't walk in the park for Martin. Let's put it this way. I mean, when you win the Physique Olympia 6 consecutive time, it means you're a badass. I mean, C. Bumstead is a very intelligent bodybuilder. He knows how to control the stage. I'll tell you one thing. Even though my friend Martin, he looks very impressive, and I thought he was improved over his Olympia condition. I think Bumstead have the edge on quality. I think Bumstead had that rib cage, that tiny waist. But, I mean, the way I look at it, I look at the total package. I look, let's say, shoulder to shoulder, arm to arm, thigh to thighs, calf to calves, the overall flow. I mean, we can't say the reason why Martin came in fourth in the Olympia, because he's put together right. I mean, like from his first try, he took guys like Labrada. I mean, we can, a lot of controversy. I know people say, oh, this and that. But from my perspective, it was well-deserved win for Martin, although I was very impressed. And that I even almost changed my mind when they hit the ab shot, because this is the biggest mistake that Martin did against Bumstead, because Chris hit an ab shot, was a vacuum, and Martin squeezed his abs, it made him look slightly more blocky. So these are the things that Martin is learning as he moves forward. I know he has a great coach, and they are on the same page, and they're peaking properly, Jean. and really his bodybuilding is improving so fast. His conditioning improving, and Martin is very, very passionate. I mean, it's sad that to see CBUM leaving at a loss, because when you're a great champion like Bumstead, you should not. I mean, again, I think to some people, Bumstead win. To me, it was a war, and some poses Martin won, and other poses Bumstead won. So in the eyes of the judges, they look at side poses, back poses, all these poses, and I think by virtue of total balance and flows, remember what I said, flows. Now we say Bumstead does flow, but I think the volume of the muscle size on Martin, to me, as a big the heavyweight in bodybuilding. I mean, the big boys bodybuilding, which is completely different than what Bumstead was doing. But he came very close. I think if Bumstead stick with it another year, maybe put on a little more beef, I think Bumstead, in all honesty, he could improve some area in his body. But remember, I've always told people, when you have a great abs and shredded thighs, your chances is a lot better. And so Bumstead is following the same concept I did when I saw Frank Zane winning, with great abs, small waist, and separation inside. So, it could have gone either way, but I wasn't there to really make judgment on every pose. But I would say congratulations to Martin, and really great job by Bumstead. And in my opinion, he should hang for another year, put on more beef. I think he will do better in the future with another 10 pounds. He's got a big frame. Remember, shoulder to waist ratio is incredible. He does have a big frame. I think Bumstead body can handle another 10 pounds of pure muscle. He could do that in 1 year. So here we have it. I'm happy for the winner, and really wish Bumstead a farewell. He's a great champion. You have nothing to be embarrassed about. He lost to someone who was pretty damn good too. So
what do you think, Martin?
What do you say, Martin?
It's Marcus, but I appreciate the.
I'm sorry, Marcus.
Marcus.
It's all the Martin Fitzwater talk. See, that's the
Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay, Marcus. That's okay. Only God is perfect.
Exactly, it's all good. No, so I think well said, Samir. I think that Bumstead will forever deserve his just due. If we're talking about the show in itself, Bumstead looked incredible. Night one, he looked I think leaving off what you're seeing, it looked like his show to lose, which nobody ever would have expected that coming up from a classic physique. However, I kind of have to be on, my other name side. Martin, I think Martin won as far as when it comes to just that density, the criteria that is open bodybuilding. Now, who had the better flowing, prettier aesthetic physique? Bumstead, landslide victory for him in that sense. But I think that when you look at the back density, the side leg density, overall size of quads for Martin Fitzwater, it's his show. Same thing with arm size, that side chest when they stand there, overall density in the chest, thickness, the arms. Some of his body parts look like 1.5 the size of, Bumstead. Now, that's not taking anything away from Bumstead. I think Bumstead looked incredible. First night when I watched it, I was like, oh, shoot. Bumstead may have just took this. This was crazy. Like, this is incredible. So, I don't think it is a loss for Bumstead in the sense of his last show he lost. No, this is a big win. This to me is Rocky going up and fighting Apollo Creed. Here's something for that age. Mm-hmm. This is that night to where he proved himself, because the way we're looking at a classic physique bodybuilder, we don't really think they could hold their own with the open competitors, to where I feel like Bumstead not only held his own, arguably won the show. There's so many people. I think if we actually had a poll with people who are fans of bodybuilding, rather it's people who don't know, if I send this to my mother, she's going to say Bumstead won. It's the prettier physique. It's flowing. It's aesthetically pleasing. But I feel like when you actually get down to it, I'm always going to be on the side of mass first as well. Not in every which way, because clearly that's not always going to be the winner. Hence Hunter Labrada versus a Martin. Martin clearly deserves that win there too. So it's not all about just mass, but the total package. You got the density, those back shots, everything. To me, it's a deserving win for Martin, but you can't take anything away from Bumstead. I mean, that's and I would love to see him, before you interrupt, Samir, I would love to see him in a year or two come and compete in open and really be, I mean, you're talking top 2 easily top 2, arguably could win it.
No, you're right, Marcus. But if you look at these photos right now, if you look at the video and you notice the frame of Bumstead is wide, he's over 6'1", he's almost 6'2", I think. So his muscle size can be improved yet, because
100%.
When you stand next to a guy like Samson, I mean, like, come on, if you stand next to Samson, you're not gonna be big, honestly. I mean, if 4th place Olympia gave him a hard time on size, I think the size of and the roundness and the full muscle belly of Martin what won the show, seriously. The pleasing midsection and the muscle control that he has. Look at that. He is in the driver's seat when he posed. He's like, that's how Frank Zane was. He posed with total control. And I mean, like in the future, if he like stand next to a guy like Andrew Jacques, you're going to see more weakness on Bumstead's side. Why? Because his frame can handle more muscle, to be honest. His frame can. And I know what you're going to say, Jean. We always focus on quality. So I want you to express your opinion of how you saw things.
Well, I watched it on pay-per-view. I thought Bumstead won every pose. I thought he was a clear winner. If I would have been judging, I would have given him a definitive
every pose.
first.
Every pose,
pretty much, yeah. Front double bicep, absolutely won it. He's got the X frame. He's got the smaller waist. Martin is kind of narrow. And Martin, I don't think, was as good a shape as the Olympia. He looked much better at the Olympia. But this was his 4th show this year. He did Detroit. He did New York. He did the Olympias. You're not going to be able to peak every time. And I thought he looked a little off as far as condition. Front lat spread, I thought Bumstead killed that pose. Side chest, Bumstead's got one of the best side chests in the business. Rear poses, I mean, Martin has a thicker back, but he wasn't posing it right. He's like was leaning back too far, and you couldn't see the detail in it. Maybe it was just the lighting on stage. Bumstead's back looked surprisingly good. Rear lat spread, you never see Bumstead hit a rear lat spread in the classic. I thought he killed it. I thought he was just as wide as Martin. Side tricep, Martin's got those huge triceps, but Bumstead I thought looked great. He was way more ripped in the abs, and then he turned around. He did that front pose with his thigh. I thought he looked great. Ab pose, Martin's got great abs, real thick abs and huge legs. He's got some of the best legs in bodybuilding, but he's got a wider waist. Bumstead had pretty good abs. Then he hit that vacuum pose, and then the most muscular. Man, I was surprised. Bumstead looked like really ripped and defined in the most muscular. So I've been hearing arguments all week long. Oh, it's not the criteria. It's not. Well, okay. So what are we doing now? Are we looking at criteria? Or are we looking for the best physique? I'm looking for the best physique. I mean, for me, it's easy. I look up there and I go, okay, he looks best. He's number one. He's second. I'm not looking at a rule book that says, oh, it's criteria for this class. You got to be big. We're not just judging size. We're judging the best physique. And I thought, his tan, his finished look, I thought he won every pose. And Cormier was there. Cormier was there at the show, and Cormier said he won every pose, pretty much every pose. So
this is how I define it, John. Sorry to just jump in and then you could continue. But sometimes people look at quality and really disregard the flow of the entire muscle. I mean, the way Marta's muscle connected, his arm, long muscle belly, the forearm. I mean, you have to take that into consideration too. There's Is
Well, if you're gonna go for
Bumstead?
quality is Bumstead.
Well, now we cannot say Martin's physique is not symmetrical. Martin wasn't shredded properly. But looking at this video here, yes, for sure, Bumstead had him on quality, okay? But again, the flow of Martin, you cannot say he was not symmetrical, although he had some weaknesses in hitting the ab shot next to Bumstead, which is, Chris is very smart about, showing his rib cage and showing how hard and dry he was. And this is what many people out there saw Bumstead winning because on quality. Okay, remember in 79, I won over someone who was more ripped than me. Okay, you remember that. It's not always. Okay, you can tell me why Samson win.
Bumstead's got a better structure.
Okay, question for you. Who was the hardest guy at the Olympia this year?
Probably Hadi.
Okay, so why did Samson win over Hadi? Not because he was more ripped than Hadi, but he flows better than Hadi, yes.
Right.
And he have the size and the matching, the muscle belly fit together perfectly. Yeah, Hadi was harder, especially in the middle and in the thighs, which is Bumstead, the middle and the thighs looked really, really clean. And so if you look at the chest density, which is some of you guys not looking at, there's density involved. You cannot sometimes see it from far away if you're sitting next to the judges. Look, Bumstead have the quality over Martin here. He does. He has better quality for sure. But if you look at the muscle belly on Martin, it's pretty damn good. I would like to see his midsection a little bit tighter. Like you said, perhaps he was a little bit drier and harder.
Look at the front lat spread pose. I mean, not even close, in my opinion.
Well, remember, when you have the quality, it takes all the eyes off of the guy who's bigger than you, probably more. The same story was Mike Mentzer and Frank Zane and Robbie Robinson.
Right.
Well, they were bigger, but Frank Zane won. But remember, Frank Zane has the most awesome flow to his body. Frank Zane was not, he had enough arms for his size, for his body. He had enough flow. I could see some improvement can be made on Bumstead physique yet. Although he's very impressive. He got the frame and everything,
Perfect. I'm just saying in this contest, I thought he was the best physique up there.
Well, he was the most ready. The most ready.
I remember Arnold once said in an interview, Arnold said, judging bodybuilding shows is easy. He goes, you line everybody up, you watch them go through the poses, and then you go, okay, he's first, he's second, he's third. In other words, you just look and you see who has the best physique. You don't have to break everything down like, oh, well, he's got a bigger chest. He's got, his legs look bigger. And if it's now, I know it's not the 1970s. It's not the 1980s anymore. And Frank Zane's never going to win an open bodybuilding title. I get that. And now we've got different criteria, and that's why they develop classic physique. They want to see.
I feel like that could take away from the artistry of bodybuilding if you look at it like that. Because then, if that's the case, someone like Andrew, who we all love, would win every show. If you do like the Arnold, mindset of
that's
one, that's two, that's three. To where I feel like with Martin, the big thing he has going for him, I think it's you got one, the amount of muscle and density compared to Bumstead, who came in completely just polished. And I feel like that's why there's that divide, because I can see it. And even when I hear I'm kind of trying to pussyfoot away from it and not really give my, true opinion on it. But I just feel like there's certain shots. So like when you mentioned, for instance, the side chest, I look at Martin's arm and just the overall size of his arm and the density in the chest. And I'm just like, it's really hard for me to give Bumstead, who looks polished and better almost in that shot when you go down to the quality, how the strat, everything looks. But it's hard to give him it past Martin when it comes to just overall density.
But you're just looking at one or two parts, Marcus. I'm looking at Marcus, I'm sorry. You're looking at just the arm or I'm looking at the whole thing. I'm just looking at the whole body. Okay, who looks the best? Who looks the best?
No, I got to tell you this,
I
John.
get that.
Sorry, but I'm gonna interrupt and just say, don't tell me that Martin doesn't have a physique that is matches the roundness, the balance, the forearm, the wrist. I know Martin's body, and Martin can actually go all the way. All he needs to be shredded to the bone. If Martin comes shredded to the bone, he's going to be very dangerous. Why? There's no obvious weakness. I know one thing, he needs a better rib cage. Martin could use a better rib cage, but I didn't have the best rib cage.
Well, shoulder width too. He's a little narrow. He doesn't have the perfect physique.
Because he's got a lot of beef on him. When you have so much muscle, where's that muscle? Like
Bumstead exposed him because Bumstead has a better structure. He's got smaller hips. He's got wider shoulders. And when they did poses like the front double bicep, my eyes immediately went to Bumstead. I was like, wow, that guy's got
I know.
Plus he had the finished look, the tan, he was more ripped.
I know why your eyes went to Bumstead, because my eyes went to Bumstead too. But remember, there's something called the muscle fullness in the belly. The judges are sitting there. Those are IFBB judges that been judging contests repeatedly. And you know what? None of them don't like Bumstead. They all like Bumstead because Bumstead is great for the sport.
They're going by a certain criteria, and the criteria is this is open bodybuilding. We got to pick the biggest guy. When my argument is they should pick the best guy. They shouldn't pick the biggest guy. They should pick the best guy. If the best guy is not the biggest guy, I think he should still win. But they're not going to do that because this is the criteria for this class. And then if you want the other thing, we got to go to the other class. What I'm saying is the way bodybuilding used to be was it used to be the best physique. That's why Frank Zane won. I mean, Arnold beat Lou Ferrigno when Lou Ferrigno was 50 pounds heavier than him. Lou was definitely bigger, but Arnold beat him because he looked better.
But you got to look at the fullness of Martin. Bumstead looked.
These pictures I saw today. Now it looks much closer here than what I saw on the pay-per-view because these pictures are much clearer. Like here, Martin's back looks really good.
Yeah, I understand the argument like that, John. 100% understand it to the point where I feel like you could win so many. But like Scott, go over to that side chest right quick for me. It was like 3 the other way. So right there, when I look at that, and I think what we saw it this year with like the men's open, right? To where it's like, let's say Bumstead could be Hadi in this sense, to where say Samir would be the Martin, right? More density, more muscle there, a bigger chest. To me, it's very hard. Take criteria out of it, just going off of Ari. We're looking at muscles, looking at the overall body. It's hard. I see why people like Bumstead. It's polished. Look at the chest striations on that far chest. Right. It's incredible. But then when I look at the overall shoulder width of Martin, look at the bicep peak and the tricep together on Martin, and then look at the overall quad, the way it's lifted from the body. Granted, Bumstead has it on the backside as well, but it's like I see it to be very close, which is why it's like this. But it's hard for me to take it away from Martin. Taking criteria.
I tell you what, for me, honestly, I want to have my final say. This could have gone either way, but since I wasn't there,
it was unanimous.
Well, no,
that is shocking that it was unanimous.
No, John, you and I are sitting here. We weren't there exactly. Sometimes what you see on the screen, what you see in photos, it's completely different ball game than when you see the muscle moving in real life. Okay, I mean, just check this out. When I competed against Berto Fox wasn't white, but he had muscle on top of muscle. And I was more separated. I was drier. I won because I have the complete body. I mean, when you look at Martin, tell me where's his weaknesses. You tell me where's his weaknesses other than he wasn't as ripped as Bumstead. Bumstead he had the edge on quality, but not by much. Not by much.
Giving him slack for his ab shot. I think his ab shot with the quad feathering altogether looks really good for Martin. I understand when Bumstead starts to pull up and go into the vac.
Martin, he should have hit it. He should have hit it from the side.
Are really close.
Yeah,
he should have hit it from the side. I mean, you don't go against a guy who's well known with his middle and try to beat him in that one pose.
No, I'm glad. I'm glad he did both hands overhead because I think that's the way you should do it. If it's an abdominal pose.
Yeah, but when you're short and you try to hit the abs, you're going to look more blocky. What Bumstead has got white shoulders. When you hit it, still got to have the better V. And this is what scares me. I'm like, I was with friends sitting there. I said, wow, Bumstead is going to take this. I said, Bumstead's going to take this. When he hit the vacuum pose next to Martin, in fact, I left Martin a message when I was there. He would know. He could hear this. I think Martin could be, well, he is definitely improving in all area. I think you need to have more mastery on stage and remain in total control. Guys like Labrada, guys like Zane, they beat these big guys. They beat Giant Killer. They call him the Giant Killer because they have total control and they show you what they want to show you. And you can't catch them in an awkward position where it shows their body blocky or something like that. I think Martin, the only pose that I didn't think it was equivalent to the Bumstead middle is the ab shot, and that hurt him. But he definitely stood next to him in the side chest. His chest is more rounded. The density of the chest and Martin is really good. The arm fullness is really good. Don't forget that. The calf, the overall, the thighs, and the way it's put together. We cannot say the judges cheated Bumstead. I think some judges took it like apple and oranges. I think Bumstead could have been also the winner. I wouldn't complain. I wouldn't. But if I analyze it from my bodybuilding perspective, after years and years and years, probably 5 decades in the game, I'm not going to say, slam dunk Bumstead. But I know Bumstead won in several poses, but we did not see the entire story. So you could look at the book cover, you wouldn't know the whole story just by looking at the cover. Sometimes we have to see detail.
I was just watching it on pay-per-view. I'm not saying it was a bad decision. I mean, when I watched it, I thought Bumstead won pretty much every pose. But now, like when I look at those last pictures that Scott put up, those are really clear. And those pictures, it looks like it could have gone either way. I mean, Martin looks a lot better in a lot of those shots in those pictures.
To be honest,
he looks a lot harder. In those pictures, he looks a lot harder. On the video that I was watching, he didn't look as hard. I thought Bumstead looked a lot harder.
Sean, to be honest with you, and I'm not going to change what I said here, but at a certain point, I felt Bumstead had the edge. But what did I see then? I saw them compare in an abs pose where Bumstead hit a vacuum where Martin couldn't counteract that. Martin looked like that, and Bumstead looked woo. So there,
he did both. He hit the abs. Bumstead hit the abs, and he hit the vacuum. So he did do both. He didn't just do one.
Yeah, he did. But Martin should have probably took a different angle because his body is so compact. When you have the mass of Martin, and I think Martin in the future, he probably take it into consideration that to come in 24K. I think this time he was 21. He wasn't 24. He was pretty close, but he was not.
My only problem after the show was over is I was reading all these internet people, all these comments, and I just saw so many people saying, this is open bodybuilding. This is the way it is, And to me, that rubs me the wrong way because I'm old school. I go back to the 70s and 80s. And back then, we didn't have different divisions. We didn't have classic. We just had bodybuilding. That was it. And then you had a guy like Frank Zane who was smaller and he would win the contest. And you had a guy like Arnold who would beat Lou Ferrigno. You had a guy like Lee Haney who didn't have ripped glutes, but he still beat Rich Gaspari because we're judging the total physique and we're judging whoever the best physique is up there.
It's true.
So that's what
true.
That's what was rubbing me the wrong way was it didn't seem like people were going for the best body. They were going for the criteria. I don't think it should ever be like that. I think you should always go for the best body.
It shouldn't bug you because the average Joe out there, they don't look at it in the detail that we used to judge things. Remember, Frank Zane, he used to beat Robbie Robinson and Mike Menser. For example, why did Frank Zane beat guys like Robbie Robinson? Robbie is twice as big as Zane, but Frank Zane have no obvious weaknesses. Robbie did. Robbie had the quad was not full enough and the calf was not good enough. So even if you have a bigger size than Zane, But on Zane's frame, the legs matches his entire body. You have to look at the car from all angles. When you look at a car missing bumper or one door or on 3 tires, you're not going to appreciate as much. So don't think Martin didn't have the overall symmetrical flow. He did. Martin have the overall symmetrical flow.
He didn't have as good of a structure as Bumstead did.
He could have. No, I don't agree with you. I think Martin have the structure too. He could have been a little harder. That is, from my perspective, Martin's body is put together properly. He needs to be a little drier. So here's my final conclusion. Bumstead won the quality. Martin won the mass and fullness. So it's up to you guys. I feel it was very close. It was very close. I think Martin won by a hair, in all honesty. It was not just like a slam dunk win for Martin. But yes, he needs to improve his quality. If he wants to make the top 3 in the Olympia, Martin needs to be ultra shredded. Ultra shredded, I mean. Another 10% more ripped. Otherwise, it's not going to be as good.
Well, I'm sure he will be. I mean, like I said, it was his 4th show in 1 year. I mean, that takes its toll on your body.
Of course.
My argument with all these people with this criteria thing, like this is open bodybuilding. Okay, well, if that's the case, then Bumstead should have got last place because he was the only classic physique up there. He wasn't an open bodybuilder. So if we're going on, this is open bodybuilding and size matters more than anything, why did Bumstead take 2nd? He should have got last.
Well, look, Bumstead have a huge popularity, and he have lots of followers, and people likes him. They like Bumstead, the person too, not just a bodybuilder, because Bumstead is a well-spoken person. He's a good-looking, handsome guy. He's got that shoulder to waist. He's got the body that the average Joe relate to also. But when we talk to muscle, the big boys muscle in the open, I mean, that's how it is. We know beef, mass was class, always win. You know, Martin could have been harder. Yes, I agree with you on that. But I'm not saying Martin have any particular weakness he should work on. I think Bumstead have some particular weakness. Bumstead couldn't improve in some area, to be honest. It's not I'm saying, you know, Bumstead need to improve his arm. He need to improve yet his arm when his arm hanging like that. I think Bumstead needs fuller arms yet. He does. And then thickness-wise, he doesn't have that bouncy-looking roundness. But he's, like I said, when he hit the side chest, he makes sure it looks incredible. He know how to make it pop. He hit that side, the muscle here, you could see all the shredded like a bear claws. Cut and round. You see the separation in his delt. He flexes his glute. He flexes his hamstring. So Bumstead is a smart guy. I'm telling you, with 10 more pounds, he'll be able to compete with the big boys. He needs 10 pounds of pure muscle. You know, that's a lot of muscle on his frame.
He's not going to do it.
And I think, well, he's done because in his own mind now, because he felt Martin beat him, that he's not going to be better. With 10 more pounds, you never know. Bumstead could be another Bumstead in the big boys department. He could. I'm telling you, he have the frame. He has the frame.
Too much size, he's going to lose his overall shape, and then he's going to lose.
No, John, don't give me that. Don't give me that, because look at when you talk to Samson.
If he's 20 more pounds, he's not going to be the same Chris Bumstead. He's going to be bigger.
I'm sorry, you are wrong. With all due respect to you, when you look at guys like Samson, with his height and width, he can handle even more muscle without looking blocky. Samson didn't look blocky, so Samson is not much taller than Bumstead. So I'm telling you, Bumstead can put on 10 feet. No, it's not. Come on, shoulder to waist frame. Just look at the muscle frame.
You put on maybe 10, but you're starting 20, 30 pounds. It's not going to be the same body.
So I feel like you can make that argument for like everybody in that sense, because like Bumstead, you know, like he actually has a very gifted midsection to where he actually has the ability, his structure to be able to put on a little bit more weight and not look terrible. You know,
if he wants to really, And I agree with you, Martin. I agree with you. He have the frame. And he could handle another 10, 15 pounds easily. Without, actually, he will look even better because they have so much more beef in the arm department and the chest. And he's not going to put it in his middle. I know he's a smart guy. I understand what to do. But since he's been limited himself to the classic, and now he have all the size that he can handle in the open, I really think Bumstead could be in the winner's circle with 10, 15 pounds of pure muscle. Let's not bullshit ourselves. He's that good. But again,
I'll probably agree with that to an extent. Yeah, I mean,
well, I don't know. They might say he's still not big enough.
He would not like blocky, John. He would not let blocky. I know this game enough. I didn't get blocky. One time I went to 254, then I got blocky because I'm only 5'6.5", 5'7".
Right.
But even at 220, I don't look blocky. I have video to show you. Even at 224 in great shape, and I wasn't blocky. And I'm not wider than Bumstead. Bumstead is wider than me. So his body can handle 270 on the stage easily. He could. That's my opinion. Let's ask Jay Cutler on that. Let's ask the pro on that. He could. Look at Hardy, what he did with his body. Nobody's saying Hardy looked blocky. But somewhat Hardy, with all the beef he have on his body, he keeps in mind that abdominal, chest is shredded, thighs are shredded. He always stand out. He does. This is what look at Derek with all the size he have. Does Derek look blocky, Jean? Answer that.
No, because he's got that good V taper.
Well, don't tell me Derek is wider than Bumstead. He's not. So no. Bumstead can put on 15 pounds of pure beef on his body and come back with vengeance if he wants to. I'm putting words in his mouth.
He's not going to come back.
From my perspective, Bumstead can really play a role if he put on 10, 15 pounds of pure beef, and he can make the winner's circle at the Olympia. He could.
Okay, so here's my question. Do you think, not just Bumstead, but if another Bumstead comes up, maybe he's not even a classic physique guy, he's just in bodybuilding, and he has that kind of quality physique, do you think he's ever going to win in open bodybuilding? Or do you think the judges are going to be like, no, you got to get bigger?
No, he could win because really, I don't see people get super ultra shredded in the open bodybuilding. I mean, I haven't seen anybody come in with super shredded back at the Olympia. I don't know, Martin, Marcus. I called you Martin.
I'm going to accept it. I'm accepting.
I don't know what we're talking about Martin so much today. But seriously, I mean, he have that Zane kind of quality. If he comes in at say 270, and beautiful balance, beautiful lines, super shredded, he could. Like I said, none of those guys at the Open Olympia have a shredded back. Nobody have the quality of Ron Coleman. When Ron Coleman was competing at 201, I think 2001 or 2002, right, John? Ron Coleman have that pure onions. He was ripped to shred. I have not yet to see any of the guys come near that quality that Ron Coleman display in the early 2000s. I mean, let's put it this way. So if you have a guy like Bumstead who comes in etched to the bone with that shoulders, the delts, look at the striation in Bumstead delts. You don't see it on the big boys now. Nobody in the Olympia had a striated delts. Am I right or wrong? Nobody. Yep. Not. I mean, Samson didn't have it. Andrew didn't have it. Hardy Chopin didn't have the striation. So really, if you give me a guy,
I feel like to answer like John's question, like I feel like we just kind of saw that it could happen with Bumstead, right? Yeah, I mean, because we got to remember he got second, and it's right. Like he beat good IFBB pros who are open. I feel like we shouldn't forget that there's so many other classic dudes who could do that, who have the the structure and the type and the ability to come in on stage and look that etched to the bone, as Samir would say, but a little bit more size. They can really hold their own against the bigger dudes.
He almost beat Martin, for God's sake. It was like I said, it was hair decision to me. It was hair. He won by a hair. Martin did win by a hair.
What message would that have said?
What he would do, let me tell you something, what would happen. Because
now that's what he would do, but what would the message be into the bodybuilding world if someone like Bumstead came in and beat Martin?
Well, the message would be fair. Right. Yeah, thank you, Mark. Thank you, Marcus. I totally agree with you. And that would give Bumstead more confidence of coming back and go in the open and show that I'm Bumstead, not the classical physique guy. I'm the big boy Bumstead who comes in with big round muscle too. Because why not? I mean, this is bodybuilding. And if you want to put on that kind of beef, he could. I would say that would give him more incentive and confidence. He would come into it and look at me. I beat Martin. Now I can beat guys in the top 3 since Martin was in the top 4. So why not? Just think about it. 10 more pounds of beef on Bumstead. He would go all the way.
I do the Bodybuilding Legends podcast, and I talk to these guys from the 70s, the 80s, and they all say the same thing. I always ask them, what do you think of bodybuilding today? And you know what they always say? They think that the bodybuilders have lost the beauty of the body, the artistry of the body. Why? Because the bodybuilders are so big today, they don't have that symmetrical shape. They don't have that beautiful shape that Bumstead has. Okay, so now Bumstead comes along. He's in classic physique. Look at the fan base he has. Look how many people. There's people who don't even lift weights that love Chris Bumstead. Why?
Well,
because they love the way his body looks. They love his physique.
Let me explain.
If they love his physique and his physique is so popular, what would happen if a guy like that won Mr. Olympia with a beautiful physique that so many other people could relate to?
Because Bumstead is smart enough to recognize the old school type of body with additional mass can fly. I mean, look at, don't tell me Sergio Oliva was small. I mean, Sergio Oliva had the beautiful flow, but he was never shredded to the bone. And Arnold was beating Sergio because Arnold was a little bit harder than Sergio. I think Bumstead, if he wants to come and apply his mass with class body, he could. Why? Because the way Bumstead is doing it, he's keeping in mind that my middle is priority. My middle is priority. My striation is priority. My separation is a priority. And this is why Bumstead, he's following the old school style. And I know he's not messing around with the dumb stuff that has been used to get to over 300 pounds. I'm against the stuff that is being used to get freaky size, but on account of the clarity and striation and that onion skin cannot be attainable with what's being done. I don't care what Milo said. I don't care what anyone says. You just cannot get that onion skin.
That's why I was pulling for someone like Bumstead to win this contest. It wasn't the Olympia. It's a smaller show. I was pulling for him to go in and win, and the best physique should win. It doesn't matter if he doesn't have all those qualities of an open bodybuilder. It doesn't matter if he's the thickest guy. Frank Zane wasn't the thickest guy, but Frank Zane. But see, that's the look that's popular. That's the look that people want to see.
But John,
you succeed in an open bodybuilding. That's what I'm saying. Maybe other guys can have that look too, and they can succeed. And then bodybuilding is going to go in a new direction because now we're not looking at just size and hardness. Now we're looking at artistry. Now we're looking at the symmetrical physique. Now we're looking also how you display it, how you pose.
John,
that's opening up a whole new avenue for bodybuilding.
You have decade of experience in this game. And remember, Bumstead can use more size. You got to hear me out. He's a big frame. He's cut. He's awesome on stage, and his presentation is wonderful. He's a people guy. People like him because he's keeping it old school. But let's add 10, 15 pounds because Bumstead's still lacking a little bit more on size for his frame.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
I'm telling you.
He could use more size. Yeah, okay. But I still think he was better physique, and I think he should have won from what I saw. Now, I wasn't there. Now, like I said, looking at the pictures, maybe
remember,
maybe
this was not a physique contest. It was a big boy contest. It was not just a physique contest.
It should be the best body wins.
Okay. Well, now you're telling me the beef on Martin doesn't count. Martin has a lot of beef on his frame. And then people disregarding that. They're not looking at it.
He's a great bodybuilder. I'm not saying he's not great. I'm just saying I think if you're looking at the physiques, I thought Bumstead had the better physique.
John, I told you earlier. Martin won on beef and roundness. Bumstead won on quality. But since it's a big boy muscle contest, they gave the edge to Martin here because his muscle is compact, compressed, and he wasn't in shape.
That's my argument. Why not open it up to have a guy who's got a better looking physique win over a guy who's massive and is a little off? I think Martin was a little off. He wasn't at his best. If he would have looked like he did at the Olympia, I think it would have been a clear-cut win for Martin.
Question for you. Bumstead versus Phil Heath. Both symmetrical. Both have everything. Who would win?
Bumstead's more symmetrical. But Phil Heath's way
bigger. John, listen. I don't kiss ass. Bumstead is a great champion, but I don't kiss ass. I'm going to say it like it is. Okay? Phil Heath has the muscle, the beef, the roundness that Bumstead don't have yet. Why don't you accept the fact he cannot beat Phil Heath with the size he have now? Yeah. I don't care if he's shredded. I'm talking about Phil Heath. No, I'm talking about Phil Heath here. Phil Heath versus Bumstead. Didn't you hear what I said? I asked who would win, Bumstead versus Heath.
Well, Heath would win. He's way bigger.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You'll see why. Because he's not as ripped probably as Bumstead, but the beef in the balance everywhere, the muscle belly. And so this is what I'm talking about. Don't underestimate Martin. We weren't there, but yes, look at that. Look at the beef and the fullness. You know, just think about it. Bumstead didn't have that kind of fullness. If he put on 10, 15 pounds, he's going to be able to penetrate into the winner's circle. But he needs those 10, 15 pounds, John. And he's not going to look blocky. He could do it. And I'm telling you, I tell Bumstead, if he doesn't like what I said, but I'm being truthful. I'm being truthful here. Do I think he's good? Very good. But he still needs a little more beef. And if he does, trust my opinion here, with 10, 15 more pure pound of muscle, he can jump in the winner's circle at the highest level. I mean, come on, we cannot.
What if Bumstead would have won and Martin would have got second? So that means that even if Bumstead said this was his last show, now he's qualified for the Olympia next year. The door's always open. There's always a question, is he going to do it? Imagine the hype that would have created for the Olympia next year.
Well, Bumstead shouldn't have said anything.
Martin could have did another show and qualified,
I feel like that's taken away from this show. I feel like everything we're saying keeps on taking away from, remember, it's two bodybuilders, two gladiators on stage going head to head, right? And it's not just, the old school mentality, and it's not just bodybuilding. It's not just, looking only at the body step or whatever. It's the total package. It's everything. There's so many facets to how and that's why it's the beautiful thing about this is both of you guys have 5 plus decades of, past, just you guys are legends for a reason, right? And look at you guys are having different opinions, but that's the artistry. That's the beautiful. We're all saying, it's bodybuilding, but I feel like we have different, even though it's the same as listening to a pastor talk, it's going to be a different perception of the same thing. We all have different perceptions of what bodybuilding is, even though we all feel it has the same. It's the artistry.
Marcus, let me just say, if Bumstead watched this podcast that we're talking about right now, and he go back to the drawing board and he said, man, I misspoke. I shouldn't have hung my trunks yet because I'm young. My body is still responsive. And, bodybuilding is not 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Bodybuilding could be 25 years of your life. It's been over 40 of my life. And so what if Bumstead says, you know what? Man, I'm not that bad. I have a big frame. What if I go on a muscle gaining rampage and put on 25 pounds and slowly cut down and end up gaining 12 pounds of pure muscle. And guess what? I would put all my money that he would break into the winner's circle, having him coming down with the quality that he always brings to the stage. But he needs those beefs.
I feel like this show just proved that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think he knows what this show just proved, that he could do that if he wanted to. If he really wants to, a year down the road, 2 years down the road, even 3 years down the road, he can come back and do what he has to do as long as he stays. I'm pushing with 3 years. But I'm just saying, I think that's what this show proves it. We keep on stepping away from what this show is, to where I feel like if Bumstead, I think everything we're saying, the different opinions, I think he knows that he thinks that he sees it. There's people around him who are intelligent. He knows what it looked like. Okay, yeah, if I had a little bit more size, I could have easily took this show.
Well, even if we heard that, Hani Ramboy he's going to retire from coaching. I mean, come on. Bumstead don't need coaching right now. He understands the game.
He was doing it with Ian. Yeah. He was doing it with Ian, who's just his brother-in-law.
If I was Chris Bumstead, I would say, you know what? I'll take a break now, and I will think about it, whether I will coming back to the stage or not. I wouldn't just say I'm hanging my posing trunk. He's too young, and if he's healthy, he seems to be healthy to me. He looks healthy. I would make a good 1 year prep for the Mr. Olympia contest. I swear, with 10, 15 pounds of pure muscle, Bumstead could really, really score big. He can. He can put on 15 pounds of pure muscle in 1 year. He could.
And I feel like if he wants to, he will. But I think the thing that the way John's looking at it is like, this kind of sets the tone as far as this could put the taste in Bumstead's mouth that, I can't, right? So for a lot of the classic competitors, they're now, I think from John's perspective, they're looking at it like, we can't. Clearly we can't. If they gave the show to Martin, even though, we felt like Chris was the better package, it leaves that taste in the mouth. But I feel like it showcases that they actually can, right? I think because Martin just came good enough to where even with the slightly off compared to the Olympia, he still took the win. But I feel like it was just what was on stage at that time. As you saw those pictures, it's like, it is actually kind of a hair battle, to where I do think that a lot of the other competitors will see this and will be like, shoot, I could have a chance. So the rather it's a Ramon out there, even Wesley, if he can pick his legs up a lot, he needs a lot more size in the legs to compete with them guys. But I feel like it can kind of leave a better taste in the way maybe, John, you're looking at it. You know what I'm saying? I get where you're coming from, because I feel like it's like, well, fuck, how do we have a chance? But you can also look at it from the other side, to where it's like, well, hey, wait a minute. I mean, we're arguing about a classic guy beating top 4, top 3 arguably in the world. Easily.
If I was Bumstead, I'll take 2 weeks off. I won't make any decision whether I'm coming back or not. I'll go have a complete medical checkup, make sure my chemistry is okay, everything is my life is okay, family is okay, I'm healthy. I would make a comeback. Take 1 year. You could be healthy, playing, training for a whole 7, 8 months to put on more beef. This is what Dorian, this is what I did, this is what Phil is, this is what we do normally. We build the house, then decorate. So I really believe that he could make a huge effort to make it in the open bodybuilding and do well. But he definitely would need that additional muscle density in, that few pounds. I mean, I know he's a family man now. He's a successful businessman. He's doing good. So this is the other, you have to look at it from health perspective too. Maybe he feels it's a lot of tear and wear and tear, and it's like very hard on your body. It is on the health. So maybe he made a decision based on that. I don't know. But from my perspective, looking at him, can he be in the winner's circle at the Big Boy show, at the Open? I think he could. I think he
Yeah,
could.
absolutely.
So,
And I think he just had a kid, so it makes sense. It's a new dad kind of thing to where a lot of these open guys have kids. A lot of them don't. But I mean, it's a
yeah.
new thing to where we can easily see him come back
Well,
and do his
but the
thing.
money is very tempting too. I mean, $600,000 payday is not that bad. Now we have guys like Jake running the show, is helping the sport. I mean, every bodybuilder would want to be motivated. So 1 year of good prep, Bumstead can put on 15 pounds of pure beef. I really think he could. But
I don't think money would be a motivator for Bumstead though. Of all,
No.
I say on him alone, I feel like the money wouldn't be the motivator in that sense. Like, so if we see Bumstead again, it's a blessing to us and to himself. Honestly,
remember
has
that
to do with the cash.
He will tell the bodybuilding world, "I am big. I am the best in all area," because he's capable. He's capable.
Well, the only thing, as a former competitor myself, I mean, you love getting up there, you love being at your best, and he's still, like Samir said, he's still young. So if you quit now, I mean, there's something to be said for being at the top and quitting. Not many people do that. Like Lee Haney did it. I can't remember anyone else who did it. But when you do that, when you walk away at your peak, you always have that thought in your mind, I wonder if I could have did some more. I wonder if I could have looked better, And now that he went up a class, went up to the Open, gained a little weight from where he was at the Olympia, and he did so well. If I was him, I'd be thinking, man, what could I look like with another year of training? How freaky could I get? How could I match up with these guys at the Olympia? That's the competitive side of it. Yeah. But then the logical side might step in and say, hey, I've got a family now. My business is doing great. I don't want to push it. I don't want to compromise my health. I'm on top. Let's get out now.
It's not about money too. I hear you. I know he's successful, doing good, but it's about pride. I am Chris Bumstead, Mr. Olympia in all categories, and he's capable of doing that. Of course, he have other priority in life, his family, his health. But from my perspective, it is doable. I wish him the best regardless of what he does. He just really, I think his fans want to see him on stage. His fans don't want him to go away. So if he does it for his fan and for his image too as a great champion, because he was this close. I mean, like I said, it could have gone either way. Could have.
Yeah.
So
I also think it's the fact that he has like that autoimmune disease to where that could be another thing, health and things like that, to where you're looking at it from both perspectives. To where like if I saw Bumstead further this, I'd be like, yo, this guy is a legend in two. Like he has he's literally like he'd be in the Hall of Fame twice kind of thing. If he did his run in Classic and all of a sudden made a run in Open, even if he didn't even win, just a good run in Open. We've seen so many guys like a Chris Cormier, who had never won but had that great run, considered legends, right? To where like we see that's somebody who has literally within 2 decades or a decade span is a legend or Hall of Fame in both facets of our sport. So I think it's like there's something to be said for that as well, both ways. I mean, credit to him for getting off at the top and credit to him if he comes back.
Remember Arnold made a comeback after a few years being out? He came back, decided to come back in 1980. So why not? I mean, Bumstead is a human. He could say, oh, I don't want to do it anymore. But remember, Michael Jordan came back and started playing again. I mean, so why not? I mean, he's a legend. He's a great champion. He's popular.
Even though it's for the Wizards.
Arnold's comeback didn't turn out too good either.
I'm just saying, like Arnold made a comeback. Arnold made a comeback in 1980, right? And how many years was away from competition? Yeah, but I think Bumstead, he's young and he's passionate. And as long as he's healthy and his family is happy with what he's doing, I mean, he could live luxury. I mean, nowadays, you don't even have to cook. In my days, I have to cook my own food, do this, do that. I'm living in the kitchen. Right now, he have his meal prep. He could trade, eat, and lay down in the sun, rest. It's much easier now for the guy to prepare. I mean, guys, I spent my life in the kitchen, literally, when I'm training for the 83 Olympia. I'm preparing my food, and that's pain in the ass. So, but you want to be the best in the world, you got to do that. Dorian Nace lived in a dungeon for a whole year of prep. He built the house, he got super massive, and then he decorated. He came back and won. So the similar concept to Bumstead. Let's build the house a little bit more, have fun, enjoy the family, while you're building mass with class. And then if you feel healthy, go for a show. I think it's doable. But that's Bumstead.
I wrote an article this week that I sent to my newsletter, and I was talking about, this whole thing about Bumstead, in the Prague show and stuff. And at the end, I said, let's say he doesn't come back, he's done. It's still, this appearance at this show made an impact. Like you said, Marcus, it made an impact, and it showed people that, hey, maybe this kind of physique, maybe we'll be open to this kind of physique, a quality physique that has artistry, that has symmetry, that has beauty. Even if it is open bodybuilding, maybe we'll be open to this kind of physique doing better in the future, whether it's a classic guy coming over or just a guy who's in open bodybuilding, but he has these qualities. Maybe they don't have to follow the trademark, it's just, what everyone else is doing. That's what I want to see more of in bodybuilding in a lot of aspects, is I would love to see more competitors do their own individual thing. Like, I'm going to create my own style. If you look at all the legends of bodybuilding, they all have their own style. They all have their own physique. They're not copycats. They're not doing what everyone else is doing. Even like with the posing, I'd love to see somebody come out and just do different kinds of poses. Nothing crazy. Not like Kai
like
standing on your head, bicycle or anything.
Like what? Don't tell me you want someone to do the funky chicken dance.
No. But I mean, just creating a different style, like your own strong points, and being unique, being an individual. And I think, maybe we can be open now to Bumstead's kind of physique, that artistic, symmetrical, beautiful physique that a lot of people feel is lacking today. Maybe we can have someone come in and they'll be open more to, judging a guy like that,
And I think we're seeing that. Honestly, I feel like the fact that, one, we're talking about it, two, we just saw it firsthand with Bumstead coming up, and we've seen it in other classes. I think we are seeing that slowly but surely unfold right before our eyes. I think we are seeing that. I think we saw it constantly with the Andrews and the Sampsons versus the more compact, smaller, Hadi and Derek, to where I think we're slowly seeing it in, different parts of the sport of bodybuilding.
In all honesty, everybody knows I am pro beauty and harmony in the game. I like beautiful body. I like class in muscle separation and detail. I do like that. And that's why Bumstead is wonderful. And he did show he got a lot of respect with his stage presence and quality. And so from my perspective, being in this game all my life, I can see Bumstead also do the damage with the big boys. He could. Well, again, let's build the house a little bit more and decorate. And so he could. Whatever he does, we wish him the best. A great champion.
Well, I mean, there's something to be said for his physique, because you don't get 26 million followers for nothing. There's a lot of people out there, like I said, that they're not even in bodybuilding, and they look at him and they go, man, I want to look like that. I want to look like, that says something, that says something for the quality of his physique. If so many people, women love the way he looks, men love the way he looks, young men, teenagers love the way he looks, everybody's following him. That shows the kind of physique that he has, so I'm not saying that automatically qualifies him to win an open bodybuilding show, but it does say a lot. He obviously has a great physique. Otherwise, 26 million people wouldn't be wrong,
Well, the average Joe do prefer that kind of looks. The average Joe is different than the hardcore crowd. The hardcore crowd is judged differently, Jean, and we know that.
I agree.
We know that.
Yeah.
Again, there's something to be said for the artistic beauty of a physique,
He's a wonderful champion. He did so good. That's why he's successful and doing good, because he's got that popular look. People love his look. But again, in his area, it was incredible. Now, can he do the same in this area? I think he could, but he needs to
keeps going,
focus on that one.
Yeah.
If he keeps going, and really, Jean, in all honesty, the guy have the frame for it. He does. If he's not, he will not look blocky, Jean. He will not look blocky. Not with 15, 20 pounds more. So, anyway.
I guess what I'm saying is that if someone else comes along like him and they're in open bodybuilding and they got the same qualities to their physique that he does, I would like that kind of competitor to keep going with the strong points that he has with his physique instead of saying, oh, I got to put on 20 more pounds, and then he kind of ruins his physique. I wish people would just stick with what they believe is a good physique, the quality of their physique, and then staying with that. Now, it may not pay off. The judges may not agree with them. The judges may say you're not what we're looking for.
We do know.
I think there's something to be said for having a quality physique and sticking with that.
I hear you, John. I hear you, John. But we know the new fashion. We know what ruined the physique. So if he continue on that same route that he's already on, and get comfortable with additional mass, he won't ruin his physique. Nobody did. Look at Arnold. He never he kept his middle. Oliva, with all the freaky mass, his waist stayed like a wasp waist. So it's not the calorie, it's not the food, it's just the concept that we did back in the old school. We were limited to a certain area, and this was enough to keep us within the beauty area, the beautiful line. We had they were big and classical looking, I mean, I wouldn't say Arnold's body didn't have that classic look. He did.
He did.
Anyway.
For sure. That's why he was so popular.
He sure did. That's why
he's because
Arnold.
As we see, because it is Bumstead, I wanted to say this from jump, because somebody who also stood out to me was the guy who got 4th place from Germany, Matthias. I thought he looked really good as well.
He moved way up.
Yeah, he had that classic whatever as well, to where I think with his pedigree, we could see some damage coming from.
What's his last name? Matthias what? What's his last name?
Hollweck, Holl Wetzer, something like that. He's the German dude who got 4th. I mean, so he beat out Horst, MD, a couple other big guys.
Yeah.
And, this is the first time I've ever seen him, so he looked really good.
It was
definitely a standout for me. Yeah, he looked really good. Very similar, statuesque to Bumstead.
We didn't talk.
Clearly, Bumstead's Bumstead.
We didn't talk about Sean Clarita. I think Sean Clarita looked better than he did at Olympia.
Yeah, better.
I think he looks very, very good. I like the guy. I saw him recently at Flex Lewis gym, and we had some nice talk. So this is the German guy.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that! Wow. Yeah, you're right. Look at that quality in the muscle belly. Wow.
Yeah, he was definitely another one that stood out. And once again, kind of
was good too.
Yeah, and that's what I'm kind of saying. As far as what John was alluding to, he's somebody who has that same classic look that can, clearly do damage in the open.
That's the German. The Germans say it quality. The German are crazy about quality. And look at that.
Definitely, clearly classic too. I mean, everything about it screams classic. So
you see, this body is put together properly. If you look at the ankle, the diamond calf, the floor of the thigh. I mean, this guy's body. Come on. I mean, he's not getting recognition like Bumstead, but he's got a great body. Some guys like that should not, give up and compete once and twice. They should continue to come back. Got a beautiful body. You're right. 100%, Marcus. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Sean,
and y'all are right with, this is probably the best Clarita we've seen he looks better than Olympia, 1,000%. Yeah.
He's popping more than he did at the Olympia. Great guy, man.
He
Great
missed
guy.
time for the Olympia. He went too low, so he realized what he did. I mean, in only 4 weeks, he totally changed his physique.
Yeah, he looks a lot fuller. Sometimes, people get nervous the final week and they mess up. Like I said, sometimes it's a water war. It's really not fat. Most of these guys, you see, they all bust their ass. They get in shape, but some of them are nervous the final part, and that play a role of destroying your water flow in your body. And so, live and learn. I was one of the people that messed up in this area in the past. So learn the hard way.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. And I think we saw some of that with Martin on stage, where at the end we kind of start to see a little bit of the fading on that first night, to where, people are saying something happened to his leg, or just simply everything that comes with that. When you got the emotions pouring out on stage, it's really hard to stay in it mentally. I can only imagine, so I feel like there's a lot of people who I feel like even that topic alone, talking about like the cortisol spiking and just all the things that you went through, Samir, and all other competitors would go through, and just allowing just like the mental to just kind of crumble you or cripple you a little bit, and being able to overcome that. That's a big thing as well.
You know what's funny?
Chris said this was the most fun he's had at a show because he didn't have any pressure on him. He was just having
all that
fun.
Pressure. Yeah, I could only imagine.
You know, I had a conversation with, Mike Summerfield.
Back to that pose, Scott.
You know, I had a conversation with Mike Summerfield, who came in second at the Classic. He was in Mexico. So somebody gave him my number, called me, and then we ended up talking. I think this guy is very good.
Yeah, he's in Tampa now. He's in Tampa. He's training at Derek Munster.
Yeah, he was in Mexico for a while. He did a tour in Mexico City. I talked to him when I was in Mexico. Great guy too. So he said his dad was like I was one of his dad's hero.
Oh, really?
and Summerfield says, Samir, I'm stealing so many of your poses. And I said, okay, I don't have a copyright, but go ahead.
Hey, Scott, put that picture up again if you can.
What?
I want Scott to put that picture up again. The one he just had. See, now don't you think Bumstead looks the best there?
Yeah.
Well, look. Like Martin is not. Martin is not flexed properly, and yes, look at how tight Bumstead in the middle. And this is, I'm telling you, look. Clarita, they have a different way of peaking, okay? They have different way in peaking here. You notice. Look at the fullness of the tummy on the bottom on both. And look at Bumstead, midsection is a lot tighter.
Good point there, Samir.
I'm telling you, and the coaching criteria, the coaching is different too. And I know Martin, whatever he does, it's working for him. And Martin said that the final 72 hours, he carb load on 4,000 grams of carbohydrate. 4,000 in 3 days. I mean, baby food, like baby food and cream of rice, carb. And really, when you deplete it and you train your ass off, you're not going to get fat the final 72 or 4 days when you're eating the right food and load up and rested. Most people are scared of doing that. When I eat, I look better. I get bigger and my waist gets smaller when I load up. And most people are very scared of eating the final, couple of days. I'm not. Work for me. And I know Hunter Labrada did that too. I'm not sure how many days out, but I know sometimes his father load up for 4 days, 3-4 days, sometimes 5 days. All of a sudden you see the body like swell up, Sean. But sometimes it's not that you get you don't have a pregnant look, but the food that you eat over 4 days, sometimes it's not easy to eliminate completely,
Yeah.
But the weight stays small.
I like the fight in John to bring up the hey Scott, go back to that picture.
We could end on that.
I saw that. I peeped it out.
That's why John was eating all the apple
we
pie.
love this sport.
That's why John was eating all the apple pie in Universal Studio. And I'm like, John, what are you doing?
Yeah.
He's carb loading.
I don't do that anymore.
An apple pie.
I forgot what apple pie tastes like.
You've been dieting, right, John? John, are you gonna enter the over 50 contest somewhere?
No, I think I'm just doing photo shoots.
Yeah, you did. Well, post some photo. Let's see it. I want to see that. Masson was class. Yeah.
I just hope that one thing that anybody taking away from this, what they can the big takeaway is the passion that everyone here still has. And the fact that you guys are both so passionate about this, I think that's hopefully a big takeaway. And that's it really goes to show the art of bodybuilding, beyond the stage, what it means to you guys. So hopefully that could be a takeaway.
Oh yeah.
You know how you have passion, Marcus. Passion is everything. Passion is when you don't like to have Haagen-Dazs in your middle. This is passion.
Yeah.
See it? Passion is when you don't allow Haagen-Dazs to pile up on your middle. You know, I've been fortunate with that, you know, that I've kept my metabolism good. And even at 200 pounds, perfect, right on the 200, John. You just keep the engine running. Muscle memory, John, muscle memory.
That's right.
So what else is new?
Here.
Okay, just quickly about we were supposed to say something about Hani Ramboy not coaching. So he announced that about a few days ago, right? A week ago.
Yeah, he said he's going to retire from coaching. Yeah.
So what happened to the boys right now? Who are they going to, John?
I don't know. We'll see.
They need mommy. They need daddy right now. Their daddy is gone.
Right.
Oh man,
you got Ramon, right? Or no, not Ramon. Derek and
Chris Ramon was Chris. He's still like Did you see Chris Acedo's son competing last weekend?
Yeah, in a natural show.
Chris's son Farid looks really good. He did a natural show.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll let you guys go since I know you're hungry, Jean. I know you need to go eat your apple pie. So. Anyway,
all right, guys. Well, next week's Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving. I don't know if we'll be on, but we'll come back in probably a couple of weeks.
Sounds good. Good talking to you, Marcus. Big Jean. Stay awesome.
Right. See you later.
Appreciate you.
Good luck, guys.